Alright, welcome to another tutorial. Here's your friend VARO Mix here, and we're gonna do something very interesting today. Something that I've been trying to do for a while. I wanted to do this for a little while, and it's special for me, at least, because it's gonna pay homage to one of the best websites, tutorial websites there was out there, which was 3dBuzz.com. Sadly, they're no longer around, and at some point, I don't remember exactly when, but they closed the website down and then released all their tutorials for free. They had a lot of good tutorials, and among those, there were some Houdini tutorials that were pretty good. I had some of those DVDs at that point. They were pretty good. I really liked them. I learned a lot from that. And today we're gonna kind of recreate or modernize one of the tutorials that they did. And this tutorial was made for a contest that someone. Let me show you what it is. So this is the video, and Peter Claes, was the guy that made this and won the contest, and the asset was this. I'm not even sure what the price for that was, but he made that asset, that bridge asset, and I think in Houdini 9, and he won, and then they made a tutorial about recreating that stuff. Peter did the tutorial, but then later when 3dBuzz went down the website, he uploaded the videos to his site as well, because as I mentioned, all these videos are still out there. I've downloaded most of them. I also have a copy of where the DVD where these videos come on. Let me get that. So yeah, here is the video where that let me switch to. This is the DVD where that video was from, and you can see it on the back. I think is the bridge asset. Yeah, the bridge asset is there. Bridge asset. It's well, they're in the middle. Focus, come on. There we go. So it's pretty cool to have the DVD guys there. Very nice. Love this kind of thing. So we're gonna remake this asset in Houdini 20.5 today, and again, as I mentioned, this is like an homage. I'm not trying to take credit for any of this. At some point I actually asked Peter if I could kind of recreate his tutorials, and he said yes. So he's aware of this. Of course, 3dBuzz doesn't exist anymore, so guys, we're good. We're just doing this for learning and, in a way, paying back to everything that 3dBuzz gave me. So no more talking. Let's get on to doing this. It's gonna be fun. All right, so this is the asset. If you want to see the original videos, which it's fine, you can go see them and recreate them. I actually made this again. I watched all the videos and did the whole project myself. You can see here is the person that I did like recently. I did that video like when I got those DVDs. I made it, and then this is the second time I did, second or third time I do it. And this time it took me I don't know, a couple of days, for a few hours just doing this, and because of course I know more than I knew when I did it the first time. And I also use other techniques instead of just using exactly what they show on the video, because some of the techniques don't exist anymore, and some of the tools don't exist anymore. Like we used to use a lot of the points up, and that thing doesn't exist anymore. So we need to use other things. But so this is the full network of this thing. You can see it's pretty small, and the tool it's not super organized. I didn't make it a great effort of organizing this, but on this video that we are doing right now, not on this one, but this series that we're gonna be, because it's gonna be a series. I'm not gonna do the whole thing on one sitting. I'm gonna break it into chunks. But in this series, we're gonna do the whole thing, and we're gonna like add sections to this, organize it better, just do whatever else do we want to do for this. We don't have to just do exactly the same thing. So cool. I'm not have like anything specifically planned. I'm just gonna go like, let's see what we do first, and then just go from there. Of course, this is not how 3dBuzz worked. They had like everything super really planned, and I love that, but that's not me. So I'm just gonna do it the way I am. And we're gonna start from scratch here. So I'm gonna explain everything, every single thing. So you don't need to know anything before starting this. So you can see I'm even using Houdini non-commercial edition, and that's fine. You can use whatever version of Houdini you have. So we're gonna start by the first thing that I always do, and that is setting a project. So go to File and Set a Project. And this is really always super important. I have a folder here where I'm gonna put this. And what I do is I just select the folder that I'm gonna create a folder for the project and click Accept. And then there is the, wait, that's not what you did. New project, not set project, sorry, wrong window. In the new project window, you select the folder that you want to use. In my case, it's going to be this one. And I'm going to just say, here it's going to call VARO Bridge Tutorial. I'm going to call it like that. So this is going to create a path for this like this, but I don't like that it creates this Houdini projects extra folder there. So I always delete that. So it puts it in my specific path. With that name, and I just always like to create an extra folder just to remind me that it's maybe things that I like to put there. So let's accept that, and that is good. Now I always like to create something here, rich, and then save this scene, save the scene, save it as, and now we're working on that project. I'm going to call it VARO Bridge version 1. So that's going to be my version 1, and we're going to start with this. So the way they did the way they do it on the tutorial originally, they use lines to control the width of the bridge, and then, or I guess the length, and then another line to control the width. So that is actually a good approach. So we're going to do that again. So we might not be creating the parameters on the HDA at the same time, or we are, I don't know. Let's just go and see what happens. So let's create a line first, and we're going to call this bridge length. What I always like to do is kind of name as much as possible my my nodes there. So this is going to be on the C direction. So we need to change this to that, and to then, not 0 on the Y, 1 on the C. So it's pointing on the Y axis. Do we need to also center it? I guess we should center it, right? So let's just, what I always do just to put this on the origin is just drag this guy over here, relative channel reference, and divide this by 2. And that kind of would give us something, but it's centered here on the 1 because we actually need to put a minus sign there on this guy. So now this subtracts half of it, and that puts it on the center. You can see there. And now if we make this length bigger, actually this is not right. We need to use the distance, not the direction. Sorry. Let's delete that guy again. Let's delete this. That's what happens when you don't do tutorials for a long time. So let's just grab the length. You can just double click here and drag it, do the same thing. Relative channel reference. Let's divide it by 2. And again, we subtract that amount. So now this thing should be on the center of the world there, and we scale it and it just works, right? We have one thing working, great. Let's make the length, I don't know, something like 7 for because this is going to be a large brush. So let's make another one for this, and we're going to do same kind of thing, another line. Oh, that was a nice icon. Lap spine. Well, look at that. Line, another line. We could copy this line. I'm just going to do another one. That's going to call bridge width. And then the width is going to run on the x-axis now. So we're going to do that on the x-axis, right? So again, we zero the y-axis and we put 1 on the x-axis, so it runs on that direction. We're going to do the same again with the length. Just grab, you can also just grab the name and drag it here. Relative channel reference divided by 2. And then we need to subtract that amount. So I hope you understand what's happening here. We're just taking this value, dividing by 2, which is basically is 0.5, and then we're subtracting that amount, which is we're subtracting 0.5 in this to this. So that makes that, because the line starts from 0 to positive direction on the x there, since we subtract half of that distance, then we just move it back. So it's on the center, and when we update this, we are subtracting the middle again, the half of that, and it's always staying in the center, right? That is quite simple. Let's make this 2. Now, why is this Houdini now trying to work? There we go. Now what we're gonna do is use this line and copy the other line to that. So let's copy the width line to this line, and then we are going to skin that to make it the surface. So let's just copy to copy the points everywhere. Copy the points. We're gonna copy geometry to copy is gonna be this one, and then we're gonna this one. We're gonna copy it to this. So now we have 2 lines, right? One of each one of those points on that other line. So that is pretty simple. We didn't change any of the amount of points on that, so we have 2 points there. And here what we're gonna do now is use the skin. This is kind of like an old kind of way to do this, but it works. You can see there it is. I'm not sure exactly. Oh yeah, my shading mode is weird. Let's go to smooth, shaded with maybe even matcap wire shaded. Sometimes like wire, the matcap, but so now we have that. We have a surface that is, you know what, let's just make the HTA and keep adding it to that. That's how they did it on the original tutorial, so why not? So now that we have this, of course, let's save. I keep saving a lot. So let's just select everything here, and then we go to asset, new digital asset from selection, up here on the menus, and click on that guy. And then I don't know, I'm cranky or old, whatever, but I don't love this new interface. I just basically disable everything. I don't want a lot of options, whatever, I don't know. But I'm gonna just create a sub menu for this. It's gonna be VARO, and then I'm gonna add a label to it, and it's called bridge tutorial. I don't even remember how I called the other one. So I don't want to add a versioning or whatever. I don't care for this one right now. If you're in production, you want to add more namespaces and versions and all that stuff. Yes, I do that at work, and we do that a little bit. We do that a little bit at work. But if you're like maybe in a studio, game studio, maybe you are doing that stuff. Me, I really don't want to do it right now, so I'm just gonna add that. Where are we gonna save it? We're not gonna save it on the default thing, because I don't want this to be a tool that's gonna be in all my projects unless that's what you want. I want to put it on the actual project HDA, and that's where I'm gonna put it. Is it changing? Yeah, okay. Of course, this is an HDA non-commercial because I'm using the non-commercial version. That's good. Everything seems fine, and let's create that. Now we have the interface for this, and let's see, parameters, and then on the original video they call these tiers because you can have like the tiers of, I guess, cars that could be on the bridge. So we're gonna do that as well. You can also add an icon. I think I created an icon for 3dBuzz, but I'm not gonna use it for this. You can add your own. There should be, like, if you go to the Houdini icon, there should be something that looks like a bridge. I always like to do icons. Every time I do an HDA, I use an icon. One of the first things I do because I don't know, I like icons, and I like the Houdini icons. They're pretty good. That's why I created Tab 2. That's Tab Pro, actually. It's called now. Let's use this dinosaur. I don't know. It doesn't have to do anything with a bridge, but I want to use that dinosaur. Look at that. That tiny dinosaur there. Hey, that looks cool. And actually, we can see it bigger there. If we just say bridge tutorial with a dinosaur. Should support a dinosaur if you know. Oh, you can actually use the bridge, pulley bridge, if you want to. I don't know. I'm not gonna use that, but I like, now I have this dinosaur. I want to see it more. So now we're gonna add type properties, and we add some parameters. Let's go inside of here. Let's go put the, I'm gonna use the length, drag it over here. Is this, can I make that smaller? No. Let's make this bigger so you guys can see every single here. So let's call this tier. I'm not gonna do it here. I should do it here. Tier. Oh, okay, wait. Tier. This is what, width. This is the width, and then make it give it a nice label of tier width. Also, let's make the defaults not go all the way over to 1, coming to 0. Let's make it a little tiny. And 10, I think 10 is a good value for that. Yeah. And then the other one's gonna be from the length. Same thing, but for the length, just pull the length over here. So if you don't know what I'm doing, it's just grabbing the name value there. Just clicking on the, you can click on the name actually. I'm just clicking, holding it, and dragging it over here. And I put it over the root node here. You can see highlights. If I drop it here, it's gonna drop it somewhere, but I try to drop it on the name so I kind of puts it below, kind of orders the attributes as well. So let's call this tier length, and then this is gonna be tier. I just need to add tier here. I always write length wrong. Width and length always confuses me, but seems like that is the way to write it. That's how Houdini wrote it. And that is good. Now if we go and modify our tool, which is really tiny, nice dinosaur. I like to have this open and put it somewhere here, and then play with the parameters to make sure that stuff is working. All right, cool. So that is that part. So now let's make this have a thickness, and we're gonna make the thickness down. So for that, we just need to, I guess we can rename this guy. Not super, I like to rename stuff, but not always. Skin tier surface. We don't need inputs for this guy. We could remove the input on the parameters. I'm just gonna leave it for now. And then let's go the poly extrude. Poly extrude. I'm writing too much. I should not write that much. PEXT. There we go. So we want to put it, make it go down. Yeah, we want it to go down. You can see Houdini now has this new shade. It's not super new, but it has this new blue shading that you see on the viewport, which is great. That's telling us that the surface is flipped, so it's good. Let's output the back, clicking on this guy as well. Now everything is flipped, so we need to reverse it. Reverse that, because you don't want stuff pointing in the wrong direction. And now we have that. That is that. What do we do now? The tiers should have that. Maybe make this tier thickness. I don't know how to write thickness. And make this, I guess we can make this thickness also available to the interface, right? Let's do that. So click here or over here, right click, type properties, and let's just drag this guy over here. And this is gonna be the tier thickness, tier thickness. I also like to just have like always a good convention for the naming. Thickness. For example, all these guys are gonna be tier, and then I might put all those on a folder called tier. I always want to start the internal name at least with tier, because that makes me also in the interface and on the, if I'm gonna code this or write expressions and stuff, to have these guys make sense, right? If I type tier underscore, I know that it's on the tier section. Right. Okay, so now we did that. I think we could make the tiers, the levels next. So let's see. Tier edges. Right, so in the video they made the edges first. Let's do the edges. Why not? So, and by the edges I mean, let's accept this guy. By the edges I mean they added like an edge here on the tier, so it's like a, what is that thing called? The I forgot the name of that, but it's the thing that you bump your car onto when you're parking. I totally forgot the name right now. Let's make the tier. Oh, another thing I want to change is here the thickness. You can see the thickness is going negative. So let's make the thickness actually going the other direction, because I don't want it to go from -1 to 1. We might need to do this instead of exposing the parameter, just create a new parameter and passing it to this. But well, the other thing you can do is just invert this guy and then make the range from 0, well, not 0, because again we don't want these things to go all the way to 0 to 1. And then that is gonna make the values here and our parameters go from really thick to really thin to thick, but we're going now from 0 to 1. And you can see that makes more sense, although this value is not exactly this, we're just flipping the value here in the expression. So again, we're just making it more makes sense for the user, basically. Let's find a good default value, 12. You can also do this, like for example, you can go and put the default value here, and the default value here is not great, but you can also just right click here and say make current the value default. That's kind of weird. Make current value default. Okay. I guess that's how you say that. And did it change? It didn't change here, right? Make current value default. Oh, that's weird. It's not, I don't think it's doing it. Oh yeah, it is changing it. It is changing it, that's weird. Still see it highlighted there as, yeah, it's not changing this value, that's weird. So that is making it like a local default value. I don't know, let's make it the default value. I thought it changed this value. That doesn't do what I thought it would do. So let's do the edges. Still, I can forget the curve, I think it's called. And that's gonna be doing a sweep. In the original video, I think they do it somewhere different, but I'm gonna use a sweep it now because the sweep is a really good way to do this now. And with the sweep, you can actually you don't need to plug a second thing. You can just change this to the second input to a square. And that's basically what we want. We want caps, end caps, single polygon, and now we cap that. We don't want to have all these divisions on that, so let's just put the columns to 1. Just want a square, basically. So now we have that. So, but we want to put this on the edges. And for doing that, we can actually copy the original curve. You can see it's in the center, have 2 points. So we can do the same thing. Let's do a copy to points. Or we could do it, we can do the copy to points, the curve required to copy to this. So we copy the curve. We have 2 curves, and now we've put this here. You can do it that way, or you can just copy this one to that one. Like the other way I'm thinking is, or the other way I'm telling you is, you could also do copy to points, copy this geometry to this curve, and then gives you basically the same result. I'm gonna do it like this. I like to manipulate the curves first, and then just add the 3D or just the sweeping or poly width or stuff like that to a tier edge. And that's going to be the tier edge. And now let's make a merge, which is going to be like, I guess, the main merge. Let's call it main merge, just so we merge these two guys. And now we have that. Also, this thing is not centered. And again, in the tutorial, they center it. So I'm not sure if that is actually the way to do it, but let's just do it. I think, again, also this tier might be too thick. Let's make it thinner. And then we can just center this, right? Yeah. Okay, let's just put that. So I'm gonna have to move this down to the center of this. So the way I can do that is just, I can grab the thickness of this guy, which is going from 0 to something. I can just grab the thickness of that and divide it by 2 and add it to this guy. So that's how I'm thinking about this. Put a transform and then make this center on tier. There's other ways you could do this, but I'm gonna try to do it this way. So let's grab this distance value. Let's copy this value. Another way to make these relative references. Go here, and we want to move it down, so that's on the y-axis. So let's right-click here and say paste relative reference. Now you can see it moved down. That's basically it, but it moved down too much. So we actually only want to take or subtract half of it. So again, gonna be Houdini is always just subtracting half of something. And now we have that, and then we can also make this width of that edge there. We can also expose this, I guess, to give it a size that we like, because if we do that, We get that as the default when we, if we get 0.15 there and we put the value here, it's going to give us that as the default value if you go here. So sometimes I do that so I can actually have the value there. So this is going to be the tier edge width. I don't think it's going to be a length of this, but tier edge width. There we go, and we have that, and then if we have our parameters, we can move this. It goes, the edges go with it. This goes with it. Let's make this smaller. Let's make this bigger. The thickness of it goes with it. But now you can see there's issues with this, but I don't think that was considered in the original tutorial either. So this is a known issue. You could make this better, adding to this with the thickness as well. So if you don't want it to ever be like that, or you can just do it manually. Say, okay, well, just made that thicker. I need to make this thicker. That could be up to you. If you want to make this like, as I make the tier thickness thicker, I add that thickness to the value of the edge width. That's a good exercise if you want to do that. There you go. Homework for you. I think I'm going to add multiple tiers now, and then that's going to be it for this video. Because I don't want to make this video super long. Right. Also, yeah, I'm not making these videos any less silly. Videos are gonna keep silly. All right, I can promise you that. So right now, we're gonna have, like, we're gonna copy this one. Like, I mean, if you could do it this many ways. You could just put a copy transform, and then just make that the. I didn't select that one. You can make that the way to make your. What am I selecting? Come on. Y-axis, yes. And then you can make this the amount of tiers, and that's it. I mean, I would use this. I want some tiers, and I have how this is done. If this is one, we have just one. It's very simple. I don't. Yeah, I think it's fine, but on the tutorial, they did it a different way. So let's just do it a little bit more complicated than this, I guess. So we're going to create another line. And then this is going to be called the tier height. Tier height. And then this guy is going to have some values, right? It has like, and this is also going to be pointing in the negative y-axis instead of positive. So make this -1. Now it's pointing down. And let's get out of there. So we have 2 points now. And then again, if we do the copy to points thingy, if we copy this geometry to this thingy, now we have that, right? And again, if I was doing this, I would just do the copy and transform. But I'm just explaining another different way they used, and in Houdini, there are different ways to do it. Some people might just want to do it everything in Vex, and that's fine. Let's go do that. So we have that, and then we can have multiple copies there. But the thing is, we can actually add to this. This doesn't add. Maybe this is the preference. This doesn't add extra. When we change the points, it's going to be like the number of tiers, right? And that doesn't add to the height of this. Maybe that's the behavior you want. That's why you do it like this. Because on the other behavior like this one, as you add a tier, it adds more height to that, right? It bumps it down. So it's a different behavior, and that again depends on what you need from this. So in this case, maybe you need this kind of behavior. I set the length, and then I just set how many tiers I want there, and you have it. The length or the height, total height of this tier doesn't change, doesn't add up. But one thing here is that what happens here is that if you want only one tier, what happens? Well, you can just go this to 0.0 and you still have 2 because the line can have 0 points. It needs to have actually 2 points to exist. So actually it's complaining here that curve cannot be built with the specified parameters. And this is the nice way to say what I said, which is we can build a curve with 0 points. Are you silly? So we at least have to have 2 points. And on that tutorial, they made this solution, which is a solution that I also have used before, which is a single point. Let's call this single tier. And let's just create one pointer. I don't know why before I thought that this would create a point by default, but it doesn't create a point by default. You have to create this add here to have the first point, and it just makes it 0, 0, 0. And then you can just create a switch node and just switch between this two. So let's go switch. Do I use a regular switch or a switch shift? Let's use a switch shift because it's new. And I'm gonna connect this guy and this guy to the switch shift, and then I'm gonna find a way to switch between these two guys. So what I can do, if this, so you can see I'm gonna switch between these two guys by moving this. It's not like a regular switch that it has multiple inputs. This is just saying, are you this expression 0 or 1, and then that we can copy. So we can say, well, if there's only one tier, there's only one copy. Now we have 2 copies or 2 or more copies. What I can use for this, let's use this points, and this is gonna be like, let's say the tiers amount. What is it called? Yeah, tier amount. So let's and also we gonna expose this as a tier length. Switch this to have at least 2. So let's go here to this guy and add some parameters to it. So let's expose the tiers amount. It's gonna be the points, dragging that guy. It's gonna be tier amount. Notice that I didn't say tiers amount, I just tier amount because it just, I don't know if that is even correct English. Tier amount. Tier amount is it's the right way to say that anyway. So I don't know why I'm saying that. So now the tier length, just again, I'm doing this pretty quickly, but just dragging this length, dropping it here, and then it's gonna be the tier, tier. Gotta call that tier height. Tier height. Tier height. There we go. Tier height, and then we're gonna apply and accept that, and then we are gonna use the tier amount for the switch. So let's go tier amount, make it again. Now we're dragging from here to the switch. I'm gonna drag this tier amount to this, and I'm gonna make a relative channel reference, and let's see what happens. Let's just study what happens, because when someone makes a tutorial, like everything works, right? It's just like, oh, this works, and then do this, and then sometimes you're failing when you're the tutorial, it's not working like you expected, and you're like, how do I make this work? So this is how I do things in real life. I connect stuff and I test it, and I say, is it doing what I think it's doing? It is. In this case, it is, but why? Let's figure it out. So enable, you can see if I set this to 0, this value, which is 0 to 1, is going to be 0. As long as this is 0, this is going to be 0. As this passes is greater than 0, this value here is going to be positive. So we're actually activating this just by saying if the value is less than 1, it's going to be deactivated, or it's going to use this guy. And when this is it's bigger than 1, it's going to use this node here. So that's how that is working. So now let's plug this all back to the output node, because that's the output node of the HDA. And let's delete this one. We don't want trash there. So there we go. Let's rename some stuff here. Let's be clean. So let's say, let's copy points, what, with curves. Sometimes it's just silly to name everything, but I'm not gonna name that one. Main merge, single tier, switch tiers, and then copy tiers, make tiers. Right, so now that's what we have. I think we're gonna leave it for here right now, and we are gonna continue on the next installment. This video is all, just click on the next one and you can hear more of my lovely voice in a couple of seconds. Right, so this is it for now. This is a good size tutorial. I don't know, about 30-40 minutes. I ramble a lot, explain some things, so hopefully that gives you a good idea of how all this stuff is built. Let me switch to the other camera. So there you go. I wanted to do more like procedural building tutorials, because that's a lot of stuff that I do at work, and that's stuff that I like to do as well. I've been doing a lot of procedural building of systems, of stuff like that. So I like it, and I want you to learn more about it. There you go. This is the first installment. Let me know in the comments if you want me to go faster, if you want me to go slower. Was it something not clear? Was it everything not clear? Everything clear? Let me know what happens down there. Comment, like the video if you like it. If you don't, just do something about it. I guess you know what to do. If you don't like it, I don't know if you're here anymore, because you didn't like it. You clicked away from this thing like minutes ago. Even maybe the first minute. You saw my ugly face. Anyway, let's go on to the next part of this, okay? Thank you.